Have you ever felt trapped? In 1985, at the age of 17, I was sentenced to 105 years for a crime I did not commit. I served 32 years and was paroled a few years ago and soon to be exonerated. I don't say that or introduce myself to gather any type of sympathy or anything like that. But I say these things to hopefully be a reflection of who you are, the goodness that is on the inside of all of us that sometimes we ignore because of the noise. If you will, for a moment, I would like to share with you a journey within that allowed me to experience so many ups and so many downs. But the question was always posed to me within myself, with 105 years, not able to read or communicate. It was challenging to communicate with my family and to let them know how I was doing, that I missed them, that I loved them, and that I want to come home. This paper represents something very significant in my life. And as you can see on both sides, it's a clean slate. Nothing is written on here. So when I went inside a Green Bay Correctional Institution in Wisconsin with 105 years, my life began to change. To the point where it crumbled. I was stripped of my identity. I was stripped of my personhood. I was robbed of my dreams, of my visions. Soon after arriving in Green Bay, I remember thinking that I need to make this pain stop. I need to make that noise stop. I never received a response. So I was sent to solitary confinement, where you're caged in a small concrete cell with a metal bed that's low to the ground, and it's dark, and it's cold. But who do I turn to? Where can I go? But I hear that noise. Constantly in my head, I hear that noise. But then there was one day I got fed up with that noise. I needed to do something about it, but what I did not know. Sitting 24 hours a day in this cold cell, I had to figure me out. And as I began to do that, I grabbed this sheet of paper. It became my centerpiece. It became my focal point. I don't know if anyone out here ever experienced such a traumatic experience in your life and you just wanted to come to an end, but then you had this whisper that reminded you of how great you are and that you have a purpose for life. I woke up every morning for 32 years and I held on to this one piece of paper. And I began to focus on this paper to the point where I began to block out all the outside noise. I focused on studying, growing, becoming, and dreaming. I knew that even though the institution said I would die in prison, the judge said you would never return back to society, but there was that still, quiet voice that told me differently. Every morning I would get up and I would get on my knees and I would stare at this small piece of paper as though it was a live human being in my cell. In fact, it was a live human being in my cell with me. This became love. became peace. It became my lifeline. And I wanted to soar even higher than that. So based on the faith of this mustard seed, which represented my soul and everything that was torn inside of me, how do I find purpose? How do I find life? How do I find me? Although those questions was challenging and they was constantly in my face as though it was a mirror, I was the only one to deal with it. So I decided one day, when I return back to my community, they're not going to even know I was away for 32 years. The only thing they're going to know is that when they stand in front of this man who had not only been redeemed, but inspired. And it was confirmed to me that I was created not only for a purpose, but I was created out of love. And if I was created out of love and for a purpose, that means that I am the embodiment of those very things. So what is preventing me from doing those things? Even though I was in the belly of the whale in a very dark place of my life where I just wanted to end it all, I found purpose. I found purpose. I eventually stopped focusing on my needs, the injustice that happened in my life. But I rather focus on the needs of men that were around me, who was crying out for somebody to please listen to them as I was. And as they did to me, their voices, their pleas, their cry only fell on deaf ears. So I sit before you today, not a man bitter, not a man angry, but a man who embraced the injustices. I embraced the trauma. I embraced the lies. And I embraced me. And in closing, there's one thing, if anything, that you take away with you. No matter what your circumstances are, no matter how dark things may appear for you right now, no matter how loud those voices are inside of your head that tell you that you will never amount to anything, return back to that first love. Remind yourself that you're loved. Remind yourself that you are special. Thank you.